Governor Abbott lays out his list of emergency items for lawmakers. One led to immediate action.
We must pass school choice this session.
A vote in the Senate moves education savings accounts closer to reality, but it's raising questions about who the plan prioritizes. Accounts not transferred, and more billing questions. As the state's tollway system transitions to a new provider, we discover more drivers facing new text tag troubles. Now it's getting attention from state lawmakers. A mother fights to see a video detectives say shows her son's first-grade teacher pinning him behind a door.
It should be something that they want to just provide to us, to help this student, right?
Our investigation explains the legal exception being used against parents seeking records about their own children and the legal statute that could give them access.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Josh Hinkle. Governor Greg Abbott laid out his priorities for lawmakers in his State of the State address. He listed 7 emergency items. Those items can be taken up immediately by lawmakers, while other bills must wait until 60 days into the session. The governor gave his address at Arnold Oil Company in Austin and touted the state's business-friendly policies.
Texas is the blueprint for the future of America.
He called for $10 billion in property tax cuts and to make it harder for local entities to raise rates.
No taxing entity should be able to raise your property taxes without a 2/3 approval of voters. No approval, no new taxes.
He also called for a generational investment in water infrastructure.
We will tap into new water supplies. We will repair pipes to save billions of gallons of water every year.
The governor once again made bail reform an emergency item, and he called for creating the Texas Cyber Command to protect against cyber attacks.
We must deploy cutting-edge capabilities to better secure our state.
3 emergency items put an emphasis on education. The governor wants to expand career technical training programs. He also called for raising teacher pay, and he made education savings accounts an emergency item.
We must pass school choice this session.
It's a plan that will once again face backlash from Texas Democrats.
We're going to go take people's hard-earned money and give it to rich people who didn't ask for it and don't need it? How do you justify that?
Setting the stage for battles to come this session. The governor made ESAs an emergency item last session. It failed largely due to opposition from Republicans in rural areas. Some raised concerns that ESAs could take resources from public schools and do little to benefit areas with few private school options. Now the governor is taking his message to people in some of those communities. On Tuesday, he traveled to Athens in East Texas to speak to supporters. 2 days later, he held a similar event in Edinburgh in the Rio Grande Valley. At both events, the governor urged parents to call their state representatives to support the bill. The governor did not need to push for support in the Senate. The education savings account bill easily won approval in the chamber Wednesday. All Democrats voted against the bill. Several of them raised concerns about how it could affect public school funding.
We need to fully fund our public schools. We could be using the hard-earned taxpayer dollars of every Texan to fund smaller class sizes, higher teacher pay, school safety, everything that my colleagues have talked about tonight. And instead, we're about to take that money and give a coupon to the rich.
Budget proposals call for dedicating $1 billion to education savings accounts. Bill author Brandon Creighton emphasized that the money comes from the state's surplus and said that public schools will be fully funded.
This bill does not jeopardize public schools. In fact, the data shows that public schools have gotten better in other states that have expanded school choice.
Some opponents worry the ESA bill does not do enough to help the state's most disadvantaged students. Now there are calls to adjust the income tiers in the lottery system that determines who gets funding. Our Capitol Bureau reporter Dylan McKim takes a closer look.
I taught 3rd and I taught 5th grade.
Danielle Bryant is a former teacher and assistant principal at public schools.
I think we should be focusing on funding our public schools in the most robust way possible instead of pulling money towards more privatization.
And she's not a fan of Senate Bill 2 and its education savings accounts. One concern is the way SB 2 defines low-income families. The bill creates a priority for disabled students and families who make up to 500% of the poverty line. For a family of 4, that's a little more than $160,000. So a family of 4 who makes $160,000 a year has the same chance as a family of 4 who makes $50,000 a year.
If you asked a family whose total income was $50,000 if their lives would drastically change with $160,000 a year, they'd say yes. That is a life-changing amount of money difference.
Your bill has passed.
But the author of the bill, Senator Brandon Creighton, says the framework helps all families, including the middle class, who are struggling to make ends meet.
They certainly need education opportunities for their kids, and we didn't want to cut them off.
The House of Representatives has not filed its version of the bill yet. In 2023, the House introduced a bill that created a tiered structure, giving special education students top priority. After that, the bill categorized general education students categorized into 3 income levels. The lower the income, the higher the priority. If history repeats itself and the House files a similar bill, Senator Creighton says he's very open to consider income categorizations.
We'll work out the details once we see them.
Dylan McKim, State of Texas.
SB 2's top-end income threshold is 500% of the poverty line. Creighton said that matches a family of 4 where the parents work as a teacher and a firefighter. By comparison, the threshold for free school lunch funding is 130% of the poverty line. What if you suspected a crime had been committed against your child at school and it was caught on camera, but the district said you couldn't see the video? Our investigation found districts across Texas are following that policy, affecting a parent's right to know.
He understands that, in part, this is in a way a real estate transaction.
Governor Abbott looking for billions of dollars from the federal government. What he's saying now to make the case for Texas to get reimbursed for boosting border security.
Finally, we have a president who will partner with Texas to deny illegal entry.
In his State of the State address, Governor Abbott reemphasized his vow to work with the Trump administration on immigration, but he's also ramping up his efforts to get the state something in return. We've told you how Texas is seeking $11 billion from the federal government to cover some of the cost of Operation Lone Star. The governor will head to Washington next week to make an appeal to Congress, but he visited the White House last week to witness President Trump signing an order banning transgender athletes from women's sports. Afterward, the governor said he met with the president to discuss reimbursement.
Listen, he understands that, in part, this is in a way a real estate transaction because Texas can transfer to the United States of America a value of well over $5 or $6 billion of real assets on the ground. We've already finished 56 miles of border wall. We have under construction another 18 miles of border wall. We've acquired and in the process of finishing the acquisition of more than 100 miles of land for more than 100 miles of more border wall. Those are real tangible real estate assets for the federal government. But it's more than that. For the next 4 years, for the United States of America to have a physical location, a base of operation. One is in Eagle Pass, another is in Del Rio. Also, the state of Texas is offering 4,000 prison cells at no cost to the United States that they will be able to use for at least the next 4 years or longer than that if it's needed. And so there are ways in which there's valuable real estate that can be transferred ownership from the state of Texas to ownership to the United States of America.
Governor Abbott told reporters he was encouraged by the Mexican government's plan to send 10,000 troops to the border. The first of those troops arrived Wednesday along the border separating Ciudad Juarez and El Paso. The Mexican National Guard members picked through brush running along the border barrier, pulling out ladders tucked away in the trenches. The deployment came after President Trump announced he would delay imposing tariffs on Mexico in exchange for Mexico's president promising to ramp up border enforcement. Governor Abbott said he believes the deployment could eliminate almost all illegal border crossings. A teacher accused of unlawfully restraining a 6-year-old boy, and the school district won't let his parents see video of what happened.
Do you understand that it's part of the process of us getting our son help to be able to tell a mental health provider This is exactly what happened because we saw it with our own eyes.
Our investigation found other districts using the same legal exception. We dig deeper into how it affects a parent's right to know. We discover problems for drivers as the state's toll road system transitions to a new provider, what lawmakers are doing to address these text tag troubles. A former Austin ISD teacher is facing a felony charge after police say he unlawfully restrained a first grader at Riley Elementary School. The alleged incident was caught on video, but investigator Kelly Wiley found the school district is using a legal exception to keep the boy's parents from viewing that video. And records show AISD is not the only district using state statute to keep parents in the dark.
Last September, Diana Briggs found herself at her son's school asking for a video. She says the night before, her 6-year-old told her an upsetting story, that his teacher trapped him behind their classroom door and pushed into it with his weight, something she shared with the district and police.
I'm thinking about what my son experienced, what our son experienced, and, that it wasn't there to protect him.
There was a video showing what happened, and at the urging of her principal, Briggs says she made a public information request to view the hallway footage.
I talked to the campus police officer who told me that they would have it ready. They just needed to redact other children's faces. Open Records told me, oh, if the video footage isn't outside and it's in the hallway, we'll be able to get that to you within a few days. My vice principal, my principal tell me, kept asking me, have you seen it yet? And I'm like, no, I haven't seen it. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna see it any day now.
But nearly 2 weeks later, Briggs got an email from the district saying it was denying her request. Records show Austin ISD then wrote to the Texas Attorney General's office, citing an exception to the state's Public Information Act, giving the district the choice to withhold the video if it believes releasing it could interfere with an active criminal investigation.
How am I going to interfere with this investigation? Do you understand that it's part of the process of us getting our son help? To be able to tell a mental health provider, this is exactly what happened because we saw it with our own eyes.
In response to our team and in an email to Briggs, the district said it was following an internal police department policy. It turns out other school districts across Central Texas have similar policies. Several told us they will withhold videos and other records from parents at law enforcement's request.
The parents should be an exception to that. It makes no sense why we shouldn't be. It was our child that was involved.
Education attorney Martin Circule says parents are an exception, not only under the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, but also under the Texas Public Information Act, which gives parents a special right of access.
If I want to ask information about you, I may not get it. If I want to ask information about myself or my kid, I'm supposed to get it under the Open Records Act anyway. Information where, once again, this is a video of my child being abused.
Austin ISD declined multiple interview requests. After our questions, the district said it reviewed its policy, but does not plan to change it at this time because they believe it preserves the integrity of investigations. In a statement to KXAN, district officials said, in the past, we have had families publicly release videos that are a part of an open investigation. When cases are judged in the court of public opinion, that can jeopardize how the case ultimately gets prosecuted.
They had told us, once the investigation is over, you will be able to view the video once it is not an active investigation.
When the teacher at the center of the case was arrested and charged with unlawful restraint in October 2024, the Briggs family thought that time had finally come.
It's not an active investigation anymore. Allow me and my husband to come see the video.
But once again, records show the district denied their request, this time saying the case is now pending in court, and the district believes the records are still confidential. The district added, we're unsure of how long the case will be prosecuted for, but after the case is closed in court, you can make another request.
What? Multiple people told me, I watched this video 40 times. I watched this video 100 times. I can't believe he did what he did. Multiple. Have you seen the video yet? Okay, well, once you see it, you're gonna have a lot of feelings. It should be something that they want to just provide to us, to help this student, right?
Records show Austin ISD sent 3 letters to the Office of Attorney General over the Briggs' request, all of them asking whether the district was right to withhold the video because of the ongoing investigation and then prosecution. In at least one response from the AG, state attorneys said that they weren't going to issue an opinion one way or the other because the district had not provided all the relevant information. This case, though, is still under review by the AG. We also reached out to the teacher who is no longer with the district and his attorney. So far, they have not commented on the record. Kelly Wiley, State of Texas.
Thank you, Kelly. If you're wondering why we did not name the teacher in our report, we chose to instead focus on the policy at Austin ISD and surrounding school districts. We will be following his case, though, which is still in the court process. Meanwhile, Texas lawmakers have already filed several bills addressing parents' rights to records involving their children. Among those, Senator Bob Hall filed Senate Bill 112 to ensure school districts are not able to withhold information from parents despite the nature of the record. And Representative Sinfronia Thompson filed House Bill 728 to require school districts to respond faster once parents ask to view video of their student. Both measures are awaiting a committee hearing. Online now, explore our digital story and the data we obtained showing how often video footage was released by Austin ISD and when it wasn't. Just look for the link in this week's State of Texas story. A switch to a new toll road operator brings problems for more than 1 million TexTag customers. Now state lawmakers are taking notice and pushing for change. Last week, we revealed problems since the state turned TexTag operations over to the Harris County Toll Road Authority in the Houston area in November. Our investigation found 60% of TexTag users were not transferred to the new operator, and millions of dollars are still owed to many drivers. Since then, you've sent us dozens of emails and social media comments about multiple calls to get bills straight during the switch, to plenty of praise for the new payment and customer service system. Now, Matt Gratt reports that some state lawmakers are also taking notice of our investigation. This as the head of TxDOT defends how his agency handled the process.
When Mike Stratton racked up more than $1,000 in toll bills and late fees, he refused to pay.
So why not just pay it?
I don't know it. I'm a disabled veteran. I earned that right. And I'm not going to pay something that I'm not supposed to be paying.
As a disabled Vietnam veteran, Stratton is able to drive some toll roads for free. But a mix-up with another operator labeled him a habitual violator and turned over to collections. Then Stratton discovered another problem. TexTag said his account, like 1.4 million others, wouldn't be transferred to Hectra because it wasn't in good standing.
Do you worry that there are more people like Mike Stratton out there?
Well, with all customers and with the gentleman that you've talked about, we certainly want to make sure that we can accommodate what the issues are with their particular account.
TxDOT Executive Director Mark Williams says his agency will look into Stratton's case, but defended the overall transition, including the decision not to transfer every TexTag account to Hectra.
Many of those are just dormant accounts that haven't been used in months, if not years. We don't want to transition that customer and those issues over to Hectra and have them have to try to sort through and resolve that. We feel that that's best for us and to serve those customers to reach out and resolve those issues.
He says the switch eases the customer experience and saves the state money.
If this is such a benefit, why not do it sooner?
It is something that we have to be very deliberate about when we're talking about transitioning millions of different accounts. You can imagine that that's not something that you just want to rush through.
So this transition is something you want to keep an eye on?
Yeah, absolutely, because it's causing an inconvenience for the people.
State lawmakers like Senator Bob Hall are watching. Filing SB 137, Hall aims to standardize billing procedures and fees across all toll authorities, capping late fees under $50 a year.
A lot of the problems people have in paying their bills come from the toll companies because of their mismailing of the bills to them. So we're going to fix that.
Right now, the state can block habitual toll violators' vehicle registration and eventually suspend their license, something Hall once stopped.
To have a criminal penalty for being late and paying a toll road, I just think is absurd.
You think blocking them from re-registering their vehicle goes too far?
Yes, that's really going way too far.
And for Stratton and other qualifying veterans to get the toll exemption they've earned, they must sign up individually with different toll road authorities instead of just registering once.
Do you think that process should be streamlined?
Yes, that's when government needs to step in and say, no, we need to protect our veterans.
So something you'd be willing to look into?
We will be looking into that.
I'm glad that all this did stir that up to where now maybe we can get something done.
At least 2 other senators on the Transportation Committee are looking into this. Senator Nathan Johnson's office says they want to study the Hector transition, calling what we found a significant concern. At the Capitol, Matt Grant, State of Texas.
Under the state's agreement with Hectra, which took effect in November, TxDOT will continue to own and maintain its toll roads. TxDOT and Hectra both say this will streamline billing, and the Texas Transportation Commission will continue to set toll rates. Thank you again for joining us for State of Texas. I'm Josh Hinkle, and we'll be back next week to bring you an in-depth look at Texas politics.